So recently I became a huge fan of the Amazing Digital Circus, and today, to my surprise, there was a very specific video in my feed from the film series, and basically it's an Amazing Digital Circus series, so naturally I felt like I had to watch it. Honestly, I was kind of theory crafting myself when I was watching the episode, so I feel like right now this is up my alley, and I want to know what they think about the show, just to basically see if I was right, which is really ironic considering this video is called I Was Wrong About the Amazing Digital Circus. But let's begin.
I was wrong about the Amazing Digital Circus. It's been almost a year since we've taken a dive into this series, and in that time, basically everything I thought I knew about it has been turned upside down. So today, let's see what's gone right and just how much I've gotten wrong. Hello internets, welcome to Film Theory, the show that's just falling into its archetype. So I want to be honest with you loyal theorists, I want to be a little vulnerable here. It's been just about a year since we've covered the Amazing Digital Circus.
Okay.
That hasn't been because there's a lack of things to talk
Oh
about.
my god, Kinger's tragic end is near. Okay, I immediately see what they were wrong about. They thought that Kinger was gonna like off themselves or something. Like now I feel like I need to watch that episode as well, just to see what they were thinking, but maybe eventually we'll watch that.
Don't know, the Amazing Digital Circus is the smash hit success from Glitch Productions created by the talented Gooseworks. We did several theories about it over the years, but 3 new episodes have dropped since our last theory.
Oh god.
And all of them great, by the way. But we haven't done another theory yet because doing them is a little bit intimidating. This show and the artists who work on it are full of creative energy. They've thrown out so many ideas that felt like great hooks for theories, so naturally, we grasped onto a lot of them. Admittedly, a lot of the theories we made are a bit out there. I mean, Pomni is an evil AI, and the Digital Circus is literally hell. Well, given the current state of AI,
I feel like the Digital Circus being like perceived as hell is probably one of the better theories out there though, right? Like, sure, I know that they said when they entered the Digital Circus that they all put on headsets or whatever, but like, I still think to a certain degree could just be like hell.
I mean, that's not too far from being realistic. But the point is that we took a lot of big swings when talking about the Amazing Digital Circus. And as you'd expect with a lot of big swings, some of those were big misses. And oh boy, did the comments sure let us know that.
No, that's
There's
fair.
One thing I've learned over the past couple of years with this
I don't know. My hell theory is still in my mind.
The Amazing Digital Circus is incredibly passionate and incredibly protective of these characters. And you know what? I respect that a lot. I get it. The vibe and tone of the Digital Circus captured a lot of what I'm sure an entire generation has felt over the past 5 years in a way that I haven't seen in like a decade. That is worth feeling protective of. But this is a community and a series that I really do miss. I loved talking about it and I want to make more theories about it. But
I will say the Amazing Digital Circus community, which by the way, you guys have welcomed me into it. Thank you so much. I think that like this community is like genuinely like everybody just does things or like respects each other based off vibes, right? And like, you know, I feel like once you just like, if you show you have more of like a basic understanding of the show and like you understand some of the more thematic elements and like the various serious moments that the show has, I feel like people in general will just welcome you into the community because this show has a lot going on behind the scenes, right? For the most part. And like the character moments that it has, the deeper ones at the very least, just if you can like sit through it and just like recognize that these characters are like fully fleshed out beings for the most part, like genuinely speaking, I think I personally can like, you know, fuck with you, and I think the community at large absolutely will fuck with you.
At the same time, I want to level set. I want to rethink how and why we approach this series and how we theorize about it. So here's what I want to do today, loyal theorists. I want to go back and look at all of our theories about the Amazing Digital Circus. Go through them and look at them with the additional information we've gotten over the past 3 episodes and see if any of them actually hold up. Spoiler alert, I think a couple of them were really solid. And a lot of them didn't pan out. That is a charitable way to
Okay, you're shirking your own ego here.
Up on I got it. Revelations the show has given us and see if we can figure out the direction the series is headed using all of this new information.
See, that's what I'm most interested in here.
Just maybe
like what are they thinking there?
Make new theories about this show.
Okay.
Sound good? Well, I hope so. Put your ideas in the suggestion box, loyal theorists, as we dive into this new adventure with the Amazing Digital Circus. So just real quick, our first few theories about this series actually came out back when Matt was hosting the show, so don't get whiplash if you hear his voice or multiple quotes from him. Also, a lot of them were made when we basically had zero knowledge of the show beyond episode 1, so I'm probably going to be blasting through it.
Oh gosh, I can't imagine like what people thought about this show after only the first episode, right? Because the first episode of the show doesn't really give you much of an idea of the show, if that makes sense, right? Like, I bear with me here. Like, I feel like if you're watching this right now, you probably understand what I'm saying, but it just doesn't really give you much in general.
A few of them pretty quickly just to save time and help our editors out. I mean, I can tell by the script link that this video is already very long. All right, so what's up first?
Everything in the show is literally a video game set in the late 1990s.
Yeah, this one's pretty self-explanatory and also pretty thoroughly debunked. Not only do the characters talk about technology and use slang from the modern age,
and posting videos of it online.
Ah, a YouTuber.
Not the 90s.
Kind of cringe.
but there's also a gravestone in episode 3 reading R.I.P. Peggy
2019.
2022.
Oh.
So yeah, there you go. Maybe the Digital Circus was made in the 90s itself, but the series is more or less
Modern
set
day.
in the modern day.
Ah,
so I will
okay.
say the Digital Circus being a game from the 90s would really help them out with like plenty of product placement, right? Like just think of the gateway PCs or Nokia phones they could get in here. Or hey, what are those? Is
What?
that some limited time Groony
No,
Smith
no,
Apple
not the
Gummies? The
sponsor!
partner for today's
Oh my God.
is up next.
Pomni helped create this hell simulation that they're currently stuck in.
Yep, so the idea here was that Pomni was a programmer at CNA, the people we think created the Digital Circus. And our main bit of evidence came from how Pomni reacts to seeing the recreation of the computer and desk with the VR headset while she's running through the back rooms in episode 1. However, just like that first mini-theory, this one is completely debunked.
How?
In episode 5, we get a great scene with everyone at a noir-themed bar, and we get a glimpse
Oh,
at a lot of
yeah.
their
Everybody did
backstories,
mention their
including
backstory
Pomni.
there, yeah.
Here, she explains,
I was an accountant for a supermarket chain.
and she ended up in the Digital Circus because
I sometimes got bored of things, and I would seek out mild thrills, like exploring abandoned buildings and posting videos of it online.
the implication here is that she broke into the office building, put on the headset, and got sucked into the circus, not that she helped make it. Like, it's a pretty open and shut.
Oh yeah, that's right. The YouTuber thing pans out there. Oh my God, I did not put 2 and 2 together there. Wow, I feel a little bit slow not recognizing this sooner, but like maybe that's on me, right?
Case there, honestly. Also, this explains the little mental breakdown we see in the backroom section of the circus that Kane created. It wasn't her getting triggered by her workstation, but instead having that mental break, recognizing the building she broke into and the headset she put on that got her trapped in this mess to begin with.
Oh God.
Also, a little bit of a tangent, but I have to say, I loved this little scene at the Noir Bar, just letting the characters talk and learn
It was
about each
very
other.
good. It was
We'll be
very,
back
very
here
good.
to talk about this again, I'm sure about it.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk specifically about like Jax's backstory, which the show is purposely kind of kept from us this entire time. They've alluded to certain things and like how he's basically in a weird way connected to everyone, maybe not Pomni, but everybody else here in the circus, right? But like, I just want to know more about him and his involvement and how he came to be the way he is right now.
Okay. So, our third theory from back in the day.
All the characters aren't actually humans trapped inside the Digital Circus.
So, the long and short of this, we believed that instead of the humans keeping the headsets on as their brains are being used by the circus, Sword Art Online style, they were instead copied and turned into their characters in the cast. Real talk, this one was a big swing, even back then, and there isn't a ton of hard evidence for it as the series has gone on. Really, the biggest piece of evidence that we don't see any bodies attached to the headsets in the real world could just be explained away with cartoon logic. Like, hey, they just got digitized and literally sucked into the computer like Tron or Digimon. Don't worry.
You know, that's
don't
fair.
think too hard. The whole idea that they're just digital brain clones is an extra layer of complexity that, at this point, probably would not really make sense for this story since
It would be like Amazon's TV show called Upload. Have you guys ever heard or seen that? Probably not. But like in Upload, essentially like they basically can recreate your brain and upload it to a server. That way, when you die, you technically don't die and you live on in a digital universe. It's a really interesting show. If you guys have the chance, definitely go check it out on Amazon. I'm plugging for an Amazon show right now. This feels weird.
they haven't explored that at all yet. So yeah, sure, this theory could still be true, but there's no real reason for it. All right, so last up in the era of Matt, we've got...
The amazing Digital Circus is, quite literally, hell.
Yeah, okay, that sentence is still very funny, and this episode was incredible theorist out of context fodder. Now, to be clear, this one was always out there, and we knew it. It was more of a fun side thought based on a bunch of parallels with Christian mythology that we noticed. I mean, we even say as much in that actual episode if you go back back and watch it. The evidence we pulled was mostly symbolic. Pomni wears the same colors that many depicted in Jesus.
No, wait, that is a crazy theory to like freaking like pull out of your butt, bro. Like what? Really? They have like a Last Supper like symbolism thing going on right now? That is insane. I will say though, right, that like I could see why they might have thought that, but at the same time, like while I do think that the digital circus is hell, for me it's more so in like the torture elements of it, right? Like it's not so much as like the literal like symbolism and like I guess the parallels that it has to maybe Christianity or anything like that. It's just, hey, they're being tortured like people would probably be tortured in hell.
To the famous Last Supper painting at the end of episode 1, the themes of the show are very similar to a play called No Exit, where hell was being trapped with other people that you couldn't stand, you know, that sort of stuff. And I believe that thematically, this theory is still pretty solid. Like obviously the circus isn't literally an embodiment of the Christian hell, but the parallels are clear and metaphorically it very much is. And this crazy idea was later validated, even if just a little, by episode 3 of the series. The one where Pomni and Kinger go to a version of hell during an adventure and fight a biblically accurate angel. So yeah,
that was a fun episode.
On point, but not super serious or relevant to the future of the show. Oh, and a little bit of an aside here, because there's not really a better place to mention this in the rest of the episode.
Okay.
But perhaps the best bit of new evidence for this part of the whole theory? Well, we connected Cain and the company that created the digital circus, CNA, to the biblical figures Cain and Abel. And in the latest episode, there's an interesting moment where Cain pulls out some pictures of the CNA office and just looks at them. It's a bit difficult to read his exact emotions here because, you know,
he's eyeballs with
teeth and a pair of eyeballs.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
There is some sort of recognition, which, hey, makes sense because he would need to know about these offices to create the backrooms from episode 1. At the very least, we can confidently say that this particular connection between Cain and CNA is a thread that this series will continue pulling.
I will say calling the company CNA and Cain and Abel from the Bible is actually a really good and solid connection, and the fact that Cain has 2 different colored eyes could mean that he is an amalgamation of 2 different people. I don't know, man. I'm latching myself onto that theory now. You guys have probably already seen those original theories and you probably think they're crazy for thinking that, but like I could see where the logic follows, right? Like just looking at it right now, kind of getting it.
Okay, so that's one of our more silly theories down, but what about
they say it's silly, I'm with them.
What's next?
Okay, well, never mind. They lost me there.
One of these characters in the amazing digital circus is an AI imposter.
Okay, all right. Next up is our theory that one of the quote-unquote human characters is actually an evil AI that's infiltrated the cast to torture them, and the most likely suspect, Jax. Now, I believed this was the case for many reasons, most of which I thought were understandable at the time. First off, it was heavily implied that an NPC had come into the circus at some point.
I know you guys love your NPCs, but if I start losing track of who's a human and who's an NPC, who knows what could happen?
And a lot of time in the episodes were spent saying either just how good the AI in the circus has gotten.
I'm testing out a new AI in this one.
That is true. He did mention that like several different times.
7 times more immersive.
Or showing just how human a lot of the AI characters like Gummy Goo could act when given the chance.
Doesn't matter in the slightest. I'm nothing. My life, my memories, my friends. It's all fake.
Seriously, this show was just dripping with the theme that the human characters and the AI aren't actually all that different. And what better way to build on that than with the twist that one of them is an AI. Jax.
It would actually be very crazy that if Jax was an AI, just another device built to torture them, because Jax is the only character that doesn't necessarily have a full-on backstory, but also he is human enough where he would probably care if he lost friends in the digital circus. I don't know. It's a very good theory. It's a very, very good theory, but I wouldn't want that to be Jax's story. I would rather Jax be another human being that is basically just a dick, right? Because right now I have a love-hate relationship with Jax, and honestly, I've reached a point where I'm shipping Jax with Pomni. I never thought I'd say this, but like I've seen the art on Twitter, and honestly, I'm on you guys' side. They're both terrible for each other, but at the same time, that terrible nature between the two of them is why they work. That has nothing to do with this, and I'm just rambling about my ship, and honestly, maybe we could talk about that in a different video at a different point.
He was antagonistic, excited to go on the adventure so that he could torture his fellow castmates. They ignored the laws of physics in ways that the other characters didn't really seem to. Was the only main human character interested in food, something only NPCs were interested in up until that point, and was the only character in the cast outside of NPCs like Cain and Bubble that could break the fourth wall and look or talk directly to the audience. At the time, combined with all of those thematic parallels, I really thought that this one made sense and was going to pan out. But, well, it's very clearly not the case now that we have more episodes. Most of those quirks turned out to be just that, quirks. He likes food just because it's something to do and enjoy in this digital world. Being mean to the others is straight up a character flaw he's taken on himself because he feels like it's his archetype.
Yeah.
We're still people, though, right?
I thought we were at first, but as time goes on, we just end up falling into our archetypes, become part of the machine.
What's your archetype then? The villain?
Man, Pastely would have pointed at this line and screamed. See, he's part of the machine. He's basically admitting he's an AI. But Present enlightenedly sees this for what it is.
It's good to admit that when you're wrong.
Beaten down so much, he doesn't see a point in fighting against the machine that's assimilated.
No, that's fair.
Okay, so what about the defying physics then? Well, mostly that was just for the lulz. And it's not something I think the other characters couldn't do if they really wanted to. See, one of the moments that really stood out to me in this latest episode was this right here. After getting hurt before the in-house adventure,
okay, see, this is what I figured, right? They were gonna bring up the Kinger defying the laws of physics or whatever, the rules of the world, where Kinger actually just heals Agatha because he can, which makes me believe that realistically, every single character in the show can quite literally do this. And it's just they have to like sort of understand and believe that they are cartoon characters who have the willpower to do whatever they want, if that makes sense.
Starts out with one fewer life than everyone else. But Kinger
Did I say Agatha instead of Ragatha? What is wrong with
has a solution.
Oh, I got just the thing. Here, take this.
Wait, what did you just do?
It's a butterfly. It can restore your health.
Did Kane mention that?
Oh, nah. I made it up.
Yeah, Kinger straight up made up a new rule in the circus and restored health in one of the games. To me, this isn't saying that Kinger is special or anything like that. This is telling me that the cast have way more control here than they probably think they do. Something also supported in the previous episode when they could vote on changing the other castmates, like turning Jax into a vegan.
I'm calling a vote. Let's skip this one and also make Jax a vegan for the rest of the day.
You can't do that.
So
And they did. They absolutely did.
Jax was doing, it was literally just because he wanted to. Just like the butterfly restoring health and other smaller things, like Jax and Pomni shooting the guns all cool like just because they can. But more than any of this, the thing that really disproves Jax as an AI, Jax clearly has a human backstory because it seems like he was brought into the circus with a friend, or at the very least became good friends with another character before the start of the
this is what we
series.
all
This
want to hear
character
about
was
right now.
likely named Ribbit, as we learned from a Tumblr post from Gooseworks, and he abstracted just before Kaufmo. We see Jax look at Ribbit's door, sadly, and he becomes upset when anything regarding the character is mentioned. Which, hey, understandable if your best friend basically died right in front of you and there was nothing you could do about it. This is why he's so detached from the others, why he didn't attend Kaufmo's funeral, why he's embraced being the antagonistic funny guy. He just doesn't want to feel this pain again, because if he does, well, we see at the end of the last episode, he almost abstracts.
He's
and
also
only
almost
barely
abstracting.
pulls himself back. A storyline I expect we'll be coming back to in future episodes. Ironically, this kind of makes Jax the most human character of them all, doesn't it? But that theory wasn't alone, it was part of a pair. So, up next,
Is Pomni from the Amazing Digital Circus an AI imposter?
Yes.
No,
of course,
no,
one of
I
my
don't
more
think so.
Infamous theories here. Pomni is actually an evil AI. But hey, like this one,
that one is the one that makes the least amount of sense so far, right? Like, why would Pomni be the cool used to like torture the other characters? I mean, it'd be a very interesting way of storytelling, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, the least likely thing to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they were totally going down this route, dude.
Today, I'm just gonna be evil. Those other fools better watch their tails because they're going to face the wrath of Pomni the Evil!
Yeah, she's doing her best there.
That's why she has the evil arc in one of these episodes. I'm not crazy, you're crazy.
Okay, buddy.
But for real, this idea was a stretch even back when we made it. I mean, we even said as much in the episode. A big component of this theory was about looking at the science of artificial intelligence, how it works, and then applying that knowledge to the Amazing Digital Circus to see if anything fit. There were some cases where they kind of did if you squinted a little bit, and combined with the idea from the previous theory that someone was likely an AI, AI, that was the backbone of this one. But yeah, nah, this is absolutely not the direction the series went. Outside of looking at the technology of AI, probably the biggest evidence I saw for this was just how much we saw Pomni empathizing with NPC characters like Gummy.
Oh, that's true.
I saw this as Glitch setting up the idea that the AI and humans aren't so different, with Pomni directly.
Yeah, I actually thought that there would be more instances of that throughout the show as well, right? Because we had that very, very deep episode with an NPC just essentially, you know, thinking that they were human. And then there was the follow-up episode where like Pomni tried to interact with them again, just trying to see how they were doing or whatever. And then we never got any more than that. And like, I thought that that was going to be like an entire arc in the show, but like, it just kind of never went anywhere. So like, you know, I could see why that theory would fester in some people's brains
between the two, but that's just not the case. I feel very confident that Pomni is exactly who she appears to be, a very normal human with the very normal human backstory we've heard in the newer episodes. All of that empathy she was showing Gummy Goo, it was just Pomni being empathetic and setting up those tools of empathy to be used with other characters like Kinger, Ragatha, and Jax later in the show. This is a situation where I really just have to use Occam's razor. This is a philosophical and problem-solving tool that states that the simplest answer is most often the most likely answer.
Yep.
So, is Pomni an evil AI? No, she's just an empathetic person. Though I do have to say, it feels like the show is really rubbing both the Jax is an AI and Pomni is an AI theory in my face with this scene in particular.
Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer.
Are you seriously gonna start singing that?
If you don't know, this is a song called Daisy Bell, and it's significant because it was actually the first song that was ever reproduced digitally. Yeah, back in 1961,
Did not know that.
programmed one of their computers to sing it, demonstrating early speech synthesis.
Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer. Ooh.
And the song
Why have I
included
heard that
the
recorded?
computer character HAL 9000 in 2001: A Space
Oh,
Odyssey.
okay. You know what? That alone explains where I've probably heard it before. I mean, it doesn't really help that, like, you know, it like their theory was wrong and like maybe the writers like rubbing it in their face or whatever. But like, it's a very fun theory to have thought that maybe they were like AI characters or whatever. But at the same time, though, I really don't know how you could possibly, from, you know, whatever theory they had, dig up that like Omni was at any point evil. It just doesn't make sense.
Daisy, give me your answer too.
So like, come on, man. This is clearly just a fun little Easter egg, but dude, Castley would have eaten that up as part of those old theories.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so cool. That theory is behind us.
Yep.
What's next?
Okay.
I need a living host in order to escape the Hall of the Damned, and your bodies will be my only means of doing so.
Oh, this episode. I do remember that episode being like one of my favorite episodes. It was like horror themed or whatever. And also it just felt like it was like the good, like one of the best premises ever for like an actual video game. You know what I mean? Like if they took that episode and then they turned that episode into a game, I think that they could live on its own just fine. I'm sure someone on Roblox has probably already recreated that. And you know, if there is a Roblox game, let me know in the comments. Maybe I'll play it for a video.
This is the key to the entire future of this series.
Yeah, it's our theory that the amazing digital circus is actually out to steal your soul. So this one is a bit complicated, but the TLDW, I was trying to piece together what happens to cast members after they abstract, and using the adventures that Kane was coming up with as a sort of rubric for the overall plans of the AI in the circus. Basically, the circus was dehumanizing the human characters, and when they eventually abstract from that loss of humanity, I thought the raw computing power of their brains was being added to the circus's AI. And the why it was doing this? Well, it was in an attempt to escape its computery prison body. This was represented by the storyline that Pomni and Kinger follow in the spooky haunted house adventure Kane makes. With a dark spirit trying to escape from its hellish prison. Looking back, I actually think that a lot of the pieces we put together here do make a lot of sense given the knowledge of the series we had at the time. So go check out that theory if you want the full context.
Okay, that actually sounds like a fun one.
With these 3 additional episodes, that just doesn't seem to be the direction that the amazing digital circus is headed. Like, if this was indeed the long-term storyline of the series, we would have seen way more buildup of this idea, but all we've gotten instead was acknowledgement that Kane knows about stuff in the outside world. There really just haven't been any more hidden messages about a deeper AI entity, or any more exploration of abstraction, and whether or not that influences the circus. And if that was the long-term play, we absolutely would have gotten more of it by now. But instead, we're 2 2/3 of the way through this thing, and that's basically all we've gotten.
It's just so interesting though that like you could watch a show and you could have so many different varying theories like about it, and the reality of the situation is we're probably all wrong, but like that's what's interesting. It's like I don't feel like I can predict ever what's gonna happen in the show, and I want to know how it's gonna end, because like I don't know if I'll be like satisfied with the ending, but at the very least I know the entire way through I was probably, or at least I'm hoping right now, unable to predict where this show ends up.
Instead, this show is way more interested in exploring its individual characters and their dynamics, which, hey, leads us to the next theory.
Kinger is going to be a tragic character with a tragic end.
Yep, it's our little character study about Kinger's backstory and his eventual fate in the show. If you missed this one, I believed that Kinger was some sort of bigwig at CNA with a past that he'd rather forget, and that past was likely getting his wife involved with the digital circus, which would eventually lead to her death through abstraction. This was based off of his appearance, his similarities to the character Theodore Mildenhall in one of the adventures, his competence with guns, and how other characters prod about the loss of his wife. We also speculated that he'd be the next character to abstract thanks to, and I kid you not, socks. Yeah, there are a pair of abstraction-themed socks on the Glitch store that use Kinger and Queenie's color schemes, so it just made sense. So overall, I'm still really proud of this theory. I think it's really solid stuff, even if some of the smaller details might be off or need to change thanks to new information we've gotten since episode 3. Like, merch might not necessarily be the indicator of what Glitch plans to do with these characters.
Yeah, it's just merch, right?
Time. I mean, they're selling plushies of Pomni dressed up as Jax and Pomni as a hamster. Stuff that is more symbolic or clearly non-canon, but just totally
it's just fun.
And given that Jax seems to be on the brink of abstraction himself, well, Kinger might not be next on the chopping block, but I can still definitely see a future where this is the eventual fate for our lovable little chess piece. Now, looking back at all of these theories, what's panned out and what hasn't, it's got me thinking about how we can possibly move forward theorizing about this show.
Yeah.
And I do have an idea.
Okay.
It mostly
this is what I'm here
from
for.
Something Gooseworks said recently about the series during a live stream, and specifically it was about what she expects the reaction to the next episode to be. Check it.
I'm really excited for the reaction to that one.
It's gonna piss off.
It's gonna make people mad. It's only gonna piss off the right people.
Okay, so right off the bat,
what? Wait, what does that mean?
A lot of things.
Yeah.
The people who could get mad at this upcoming episode could come from a wide.
That truly does make me wonder, though. Like, who are the right people? Am I the right people? Would I be the type of person that's angry at the episode? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know who it target. And like, you know, maybe if I do get pissed off, then it says something terrible about me. And I'm not sure if I'm ready for that now, actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, this is like a very interesting existential crisis that I'm having. See, this is what happens when I record videos without my Twitch chat, and instead I do this alone. So I can't really bounce off them, and it's just me alone in my thoughts.
Damn it. Like, will it be Jax fans getting angry? There have been several camps of Jax stands that have swung back and forth at being angry and elated at the direction his character has gone. Or heck, maybe
Jax has fans?
People upset that he's gonna abstract. Or the people getting mad could be shippers. People who want Jax and Pomni to get together, or any other combination of characters.
Ooh, shipping fans. Yeah, it could be shipping fans.
Here, well, what if the people who are going to get mad are theorists? Don't get me wrong.
Oh?
I don't think Gooseworks or anyone else at Glitch for that matter are making their shows with like me in mind, with these channels in mind. That's ridiculous. And
it would probably kind of be like the event that happened with the Hello Neighbor people, right? Like they started basing their game around what the theorists came up with, which essentially just kind of ruined the game. It's like they were hoping that the theories would write the game for them, when that shouldn't be the case. Write your story and then have the theories try to figure out what that story is. That is the whole point of the theory channels. But like, yeah, I don't think that Gooseworks would essentially go ahead and make a story that would essentially try to revolve itself around what the theorists are theorizing, if that makes sense.
I actually know for a fact that a lot of them avoid theory videos from creators here on YouTube, so it doesn't influence their writing. And
yeah,
I don't
no, that makes
come
sense.
across as thinking that these creators are talking about literally us here in these actual clips. That's not my intention. No, but I think even if that isn't what they meant, theorists could have the same reaction to the next few episodes as what they've described here. Really, the big takeaway I've had after sitting and thinking about this series over the past year, seeing new episodes drop and all of the commentary from Gooseworks and the other creators, is I don't think there is going to be a big theory twist. There is no secret AI or hidden story. The Amazing Digital Circus is exactly what it says on the tin. It's a character-driven series dissecting its cast, their relationships with one another, and the drama that follows, all all while they're tortured by their AI overlord Kane, which means that they're getting to know each other better, revealing things about their backstories that they clearly haven't before, and are growing as people because of it. Now, don't get me wrong.
The theory here is that there isn't anything weird going on. It's just exactly as the show says. I don't know if that really counts as a theory. I don't know if I want to accept that reality. And if that is the case, that would piss me off, actually.
I don't blame us online theorists for really jumping on this series. There were certainly a lot of seeds planted early on, and hell, even in recent episodes, that could grow into some crazy twist or
Spirit Man is one of my favorites.
That maybe, just maybe, you could suss out by putting the pieces together. But so far, the Amazing Digital Circus hasn't really seemed interested in following up on any of that. Well, at least the ones that aren't focused on character moments like Kinger's backstory. But the big stuff, like the hints that we picked up that one of the main cast is actually an evil AI toying with the humans, or that there's an evil AI buried deep in the circus that wants to escape, those just aren't threads they've pulled on.
No, they have not.
Them to as the series goes forward. Like at this point, it would be a really big turn into left field and probably make things worse for the overall story.
It absolutely would.
You know what? Good. That's a great thing. I mean, don't misunderstand. I love a good theory-driven show. I mean, just look at what channel you're on. Also,
True.
there comes a point in your life when you realize that not everything is a FNAF or a Gravity Falls. Not everything needs to have a secret story hidden beneath layers and layers of lore and puzzle solving. Sometimes it really is just that simple. And honestly, that's a breath of fresh air. Like, I thought going in that the Amazing Digital Circus was gonna be like Lost with a bunch of mysteries to solve and theories.
Okay, but like Lost ending actually just pissed off everybody though, right? Like I understand why it ended the way it did, but at the same time, it wasn't really satisfying, if that makes sense. And I'm not sure if any of you even know the ending of Lost, and maybe I don't even want to spoil it here because maybe one of you is like watching it or whatever. But like, it's just not a very fun end to that show. And I mean, like, I don't know if I'd be happy if the Amazing Digital Circus is just what it says it is on paper. I don't know. Maybe I am part of the problem, actually.
Driving the online conversation, but instead, we just got a good TV show. In retrospect, I think what I should have done with this series was really dig more into the characters. And I don't mean by trying to figure out, like, who's the evil AI spy or anything like that. I mean, trying to figure out their backstories or what issues they're dealing with.
I just want to know what's going on with the jar, right? Like, wasn't there like a backstory of like the ribbon character of a jar? Forgetting character names right now, but like whatever that backstory is, I want to know what they did with that anime figure and jar. Was there even a jar mentioned? I just want to know what they did with the anime figure.
We do character studies on them, similar to what we did with Kinger last year, to see if we could figure out what the creators of the Digital Circus are saying with each of their cast members instead of trying to make sense out of what they weren't saying. And you know, it might be worth going back and doing that now, examining this cast and doing some lore breakdowns and theorizing about each of them from there. You know, instead of going crazy with something just off the wall. So
it's just
if
not
you're
there.
Interested in those, please let me know in the comments below. But until then, remember, the
I kind of like seeing that for
it's
sure.
Always just a theory.
That's
Film
true.
Theory and cut.
You know, I kind of forgot what like channel I was on for a second there. But no, that makes sense, actually. That actually makes sense in the end. That like, if the show is just what it is, I might not be happy at the end of the day, but like that would just be for a very interesting twist that it didn't really try to pull your leg on any idea or thing that it was trying to do. It was just what it said it was on paper, which in and of itself is still really cool. Don't get me wrong. And like, honestly, I think it's something that I'm going to have to learn to grow to like, but it also is a very, very bold choice, but also a good one in a world where a lot of people try to have deeper meanings and deeper stories in every regard. Maybe sometimes we just need stories that are a little bit more fun, if you know what I mean. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this, and hopefully you guys enjoyed my reaction to this theory video on the show. It didn't really add too much to the theories that I had. It maybe validated like one of them for the most part, and I don't know if I could really add any theories myself, especially after watching this, right?